You are not ready for this story. Imagine the coast of Norway, 1928. A small fishing village, quiet. The kind of quiet that gets under your skin. A fisherman squints at the horizon. Something's out there. A dark shape drifting. Not right. Not moving like a ship should. As it gets closer, a chill that has nothing to do with the Arctic air crawls up his spine. This isn't a ship sailing. This is a ghost being pushed by the current alone. Its sails are tattered rags flapping like funeral shrouds. The name barely visible on the hull, the Baychimo. And the most terrifying part? It's completely, utterly silent. No captain shouting orders. No crew scrambling on deck. Nothing. This is the story of the ghost ship Baychimo, a floating metal coffin that refused to die, and the dead bodies that supposedly sailed it. And I promise you, by the end of this, you're going to be looking at the ocean a little differently. Our story starts not with a ghost but with a proud, sturdy cargo ship. The Baychimo, a steel-hulled steamer, was a workhorse of the Arctic. Its job? To trade furs, supplies, anything that could turn a profit in the frozen north. The crew, a tough bunch, knew the risks. The Arctic doesn't forgive mistakes. In October 1931, the Baychimo was packed to the gills with a fortune in Canadian furs. We're talking a payday that would set these men and their families up for life. But the Arctic had other plans. The weather turned. Not just bad weather. A nightmare. A blizzard of biblical proportions descended, trapping the Baychimo in a prison of ice. Sound of howling wind, creaking and groaning of metal under pressure. For days they were stuck. The ice wasn't just around them, it was crushing them. The steel hull groaned like a dying animal. The captain, a seasoned veteran, knew this was it. He gave the order no captain ever wants to give: abandon ship. They gathered what they could and trekked across the shifting, treacherous ice floes, finally making it to the safety of the town of Barrow. They watched from shore, hearts sinking as their ship, their livelihood, was slowly consumed by the frozen sea. A few days later, a local hunter came running into town, out of breath. The ship. It's gone. They rushed to the shore. Sure enough, the spot where the Baychimo had been entombed was just empty ice. The storm had broken the prison and the ship had vanished. They assumed it had sunk, taking their fortune to the bottom of the ocean. A tragedy, but at least they were alive. Then the reports started trickling in. Weeks later, an Inuit hunter spotted it hundreds of miles away, locked in another ice field. He boarded the frozen vessel. He described it as eerie, a snapshot of the moment it was abandoned. But here's where the story takes a dark turn. Some accounts say he found more than just abandoned furs. He found the bodies of several crew members, frozen solid, preserved in the Arctic deep freeze. Men who, for whatever reason, had stayed behind or tried to ride out the storm. Their ship had become their tomb. A salvage team managed to reach it, but another storm blew in, forcing them to leave everything behind. They thought it was temporary. They were wrong. The Baychimo had tasted freedom. And it liked it. For the next 38 years, the Baychimo became a legend, a phantom of the Arctic. It was the ship that wouldn't sink. Sailors, explorers, and Inuit villagers would report seeing it, a silent, rusting specter drifting through the fog and ice. Imagine you're an Eskimo fisherman in your kayak, and this massive, deserted steel hull just glides past you, silent as a grave. No engine noise, no voices. Just the sound of water lapping against its hull. That's the stuff of pure nightmares. There's one story that's seared into the legend. A group of explorers, braver or maybe more foolish than most, actually managed to board the ghost ship. They were trapped on board for nearly 2 weeks by a sudden blizzard. Can you even imagine? Trapped on a dead ship with the ghosts of the crew, or maybe their frozen bodies, just rooms away. The wind howling through the broken portholes, the sound of the ice scraping against the hull. They were eventually rescued, but they never spoke much about what they saw, or heard, on board. The ship developed a personality. They called it the ghost ship of the Arctic. It was seen off the coast of Alaska, then near Siberia, then back in Canadian waters. It was like it was patrolling its own watery graveyard. Every time someone got close, a storm would whip up or the ice would shift, and it would vanish into the white void. It was playing a game with the living and it was winning. So, what was really happening on that ship? This is the part that will keep you up at night. The official story is that the crew all abandoned ship and survived. But those local accounts, the Inuit stories, they tell a different tale. They talk of the frozen dead. Let's just sit with that for a second. The theory goes that a skeleton crew, or maybe some men who thought they could save the ship, got trapped. They froze to death as the ship drifted. And their bodies just stayed there. For years. Decades even. So when people saw the Baychimo sailing itself, was it really sailing itself? Or was it being sailed by a crew of corpses? Men frozen at their posts, their lifeless hands still on the wheel, their empty eye sockets staring out at an endless sea? The ship of corpses, carrying its own dead crew on a macabre, endless voyage. This wasn't just driftwood. This was a sealed, steel casket, preserving its gruesome cargo in a perpetual state of horror. The Arctic cold kept them from decomposing. They were sailors on an eternal watch, a monument to one of the ocean's greatest mysteries. The last confirmed sighting of the Baychimo was in 1969, off the coast of Alaska. A photographer even snapped a picture of the rusted, ice-encrusted hull. And then, nothing. It vanished for good. No wreckage was ever found. No final resting place. The Arctic had finally reclaimed its ghost. But here's the question that haunts me: did it sink? Or did it just drift off the edge of the map into the realm of pure myth, its dead crew finally at peace? Or are they still out there, drifting in some forgotten ice floe, waiting for the next unsuspecting soul to stumble upon their frozen nightmare? The ocean doesn't give up all its secrets. Some stories are meant to remain mysteries, chilling reminders that there are things out there we can't explain. The Baychimo is more than a shipwreck. It's a ghost story that happens to be true. And this is just one story. The ocean's graveyard is full of them. If this sent a shiver down your spine, then you need to check out this video right here, where we dive into the story of the Orang Medan, the ship whose entire crew was found dead with looks of pure terror frozen on their faces. Trust me, that's a story you do not want to miss. Smash that like button if you believe in ghost ships, and subscribe for more true stories that are stranger than fiction. Because the past is terrifying and we're just getting started.